Let's welcome our fourth panel, Representative Pfluger and Representative Ivey from the Committee on Homeland Security. Mr. Ivey has not yet arrived, but Mr. Pfluger, we're prepared to welcome your testimony, and we'll let Mr. Ivey testify when he arrives.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Ranking Member. Thank you for holding this hearing today to discuss my bill, H.R. 1516, the DHS Restrictions on Confucius Institutes and Chinese Entities of Concern Act. For years, the Chinese Communist Party, working through the People's Liberation Army, the PLA, has executed sophisticated propaganda and espionage campaigns across the globe. And of particular concern is the CCP's practice of exploiting the open and collaborative nature of American academia to conduct widespread industrial and military espionage inside the United States. Confucius Institutes, I'll just say CIs for short, were first established in America in 2004. And these initiatives were marketed by the CCP as a mechanism to promote Chinese language and culture, to support local Chinese teaching internationally and facilitate cultural exchanges. However, it quickly became apparent that Confucius Institutes were an extension of the CCP's global influence apparatus, allowing it to impact the decisions of academic institutions, to spy on activities inside the homeland, and promote military-civil fusion programs. Military-civil fusion is the CCP's aggressive national strategy to help the PRC develop the most technologically advanced military in the world by the year 2049, often through the theft of American intellectual property and trade secrets. The United States government has rightly taken some successful action against this encroachment in the last several years. The fiscal year 2021 the NDAA prohibited DoD funding from going to institutions of higher education that host Confucius Institutes. Now, it is time for the Department of Homeland Security to take similar action. Under no circumstance should a school in the United States be allowed to receive DHS funding while tacitly accepting the CCP's money that comes with the price tag of fealty. The legislation we are discussing today, H.R. 1516, ensures that schools prioritize the security of their scientific research programs and technological development efforts above a paycheck from the CCP or entities affiliated with the CCP or the PLA. Specifically, this legislation restricts DHS funding from going to universities who maintain relationships with entities connected to the CCP or who support the PRC's military-civil fusion programs. This bill ensures taxpayer dollars are appropriately used and encourages universities to end relationships with partners who do not have America's best interest in mind. More importantly, this bill ensures U.S. institutions are free of foreign malign influence, protects students and faculty who speak out against the CCP's nefarious actions, and ensures universities and colleges remain safe from having research and development work stolen by the PRC. According to President Biden's national security strategy, the PRC harbors the intention and increasingly the capacity to reshape the international order in favor of one that tilts the global playing field to its benefit, even as the United States remains committed to managing the competition between our countries responsibly, end quote. All of us in this room should be clear-eyed and united in combating the greatest national security threat that faces our nation. For these reasons, I hope that everyone supports my legislation. I thank Chairman Green for bringing the bill for markup and all of my colleagues who have co-sponsored the bill. And again, I'd like to thank Chairman Burgess for bringing this bill up for discussion today, and I look forward to answering your questions. I yield back.
Chair, thanks, the gentleman. Gentleman yields back. The gentleman from Maryland is recognized for his comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Ranking Member. In the last Congress, the Homeland Security Committee produced a bipartisan bill, H.R. 7779, that cracked down on the PRC and the Chinese Communist Party while also protecting American colleges at the same time from unintended consequences. Unfortunately, my Republican colleagues have chosen to reject that bipartisan approach, which was voted out of the committee, and return to a bill prior to the amendments, which raised some of the same problems that we're going to provide amendments to try and fix today. And I wanted to walk through a couple of those quickly. First of all, there's no waiver language. You heard the reference to the Department of Defense language, but the Department of Defense language actually contains waiver language that is expressly removed from this bill and was contained in H.R. 7779. And the concern about that is this bill also it broadens the reach of the coverage, so it doesn't just focus on the CI entities. It also covers a broader range of entities, Chinese entities that's defined in the bill. That includes almost any college or university. And so this creates a risk for American colleges and universities of running into an accidental scenario where they could lose DHS funding for accidental reasons and unintended consequential sorts of scenarios. We're also concerned about potential impact for, and there are amendments to try and address this. There's no waiver for FEMA natural disaster funding. That's one of the amendments that's offered. Could be catastrophic for colleges or universities at the same time they need the funding the most, which would be during hurricanes, tornadoes, or other types of natural disasters. There's no waiver for terrorism. Now, in the current DHS funding that's provided, they provide active shooter training to address scenarios like Virginia Tech, and also CP3 funding for terrorism prevention efforts. Now, the goal of this would be to make sure that we protect science and technology information and R&D that China's frankly been stealing for years. And so we certainly all come together in supporting the efforts to preclude that and prevent that. But this also does things that we're not worried about, like stopping students from going to China to learn the language or to compete in sporting events. So I would ask the committee, when the amendments are offered, that we restore the language that was excised from 7779, the bipartisan bill that passed the committee last year, and move back towards a bipartisan approach to try and address the concerns that we all care about, and at the same time protect American universities and colleges from unintended consequences that might be damaging to America. We don't need to throw the baby out with the bathwater. So I ask that the committee reject this particular piece of legislation in absence of the amendments. And with that, I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Chair thanks. The gentleman. Chair has no questions. I'll yield to the gentlelady from Minnesota.
I have no.
Gentlelady has no questions. Gentleman from Georgia, no questions. Seeing no member on the Democrat side, this panel is then excused.
You guys are so lucky. Look at you.
We were both right.
Maybe I should have asked some, yeah.